Three, two, one, let's go. Welcome everybody to Wheel Talk. This is a video podcast series where we discuss the most burning questions of urban unicycling. And with me today, Scott, Julian, Eva, and myself. For those of you that are not familiar with those mentioned names, Scott Julian is a winner of the 2024 Urban Unicycle Video Awards, and also well known for making a lot of video parts and just in general riding his heart out, battling for new tricks. So you should definitely check out his channel. And fun fact, his video, one that he posted in 2016, so a long time ago, was one of the first videos that I ever saw when I started riding, a week after I sat on a unicycle, and it inspired me a lot at that time. You were so young back then and so small, but it
I
was,
didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know how. I think
cool.
It was the first video on your channel. I don't know the name again.
I think it was literally just new channel.
Yeah, exactly.
I just posted a video called New Channel.
The new channel video. This
My
was,
only channel.
This was one of the first videos that we talked about in the team when I started riding. So
cool.
That's Scott Julian for you. Eva, also in community, very well-known rider, especially for his dedication to mastering rolls and coasts. So if you're looking out for something, that's your person. And he's also deemed to be the creator of many high-level technical skills, such as Eva coast, roller roll, some very, very technical stuff. Thank you too that you're taking your time being on the podcast episode today.
Absolutely.
Nice to be here.
Each episode we pick a question and we discuss it, and then at the end there will be a vote to see who of us three brought the best case into the episode. Just a reminder for everybody, this format is not something that we came up with by ourselves. There's a German football channel where we basically ripped the format off. So huge shout out to them for coming up with such a cool concept. And also thanks to Yasmin, my girlfriend, for helping out.
Do you actually watch football, Jan?
Yeah, a little bit.
Or do you just know the podcast?
I'm I think an all-around sports guy. So I think sports is something very close to my heart, and also to what my father has been doing all the time. Yeah. So and also shout out to my girlfriend Yasmin. She has been helping us, setting us up with the episode. And for those who are wondering why Eli is not here, even though we are recording this episode for his channel, Eli unfortunately has other very important stuff to do at the moment in his life, as you probably have seen maybe on his Instagram account. So he has all the reasons not to be on the podcast, but maybe in the future, if he has some more time, he will be on the podcast again. So with that being said, there's I think just one more thing we need to talk about before we go into the question, and that is the community poll from the last episode. The last episode was a little bit time ago, but it was what is the urban unicycling nation? And Mark, Eli, and me picked France as the unicycling nation. And looking at the poll now, with 57% of the votes, also you, our listeners, picked also France. So apparently we agree on that question, which is quite of interesting and also kind of nice. That being said, introduction out of the way. Today's question is, as you probably have seen in the title, this is not a surprise to anybody anymore. What is the best flatland battle in unicycling history? And there's obviously room for interpretation about what the best is. And I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer about my take on competitions in unicycling in general, because we're going to talk about the battles being the main part of the flatland competition. I think that the cool thing about unicycling is that not everybody likes to take part in competitions, but I think most of the riders agree that some riders, they ride the competitions and some they don't, and they make huge unicycle video parts, or they just come to the conventions to do a big session, and that's fine. So even though you may see some riders in the competitions a lot, it doesn't mean that other riders are not good. So that's maybe something from, if you take it from other sports, that's like not a concept that is well known. But yeah, now that we have gotten this out of the way, do you have anything more to say before I roll the die? Who of us is going to start?
Well, maybe we should say that we're all from the same generation, like we were just talking about. So a little disclaimer about our choices and such.
Yes.
Yeah, we may have a little bit of bias where that's concerned. So
yes,
but,
that's maybe something different from the last episodes, where at least I was with Eli and also with Mark, who are definitely from a different different generation. All right, so
and also you're the only one that was just at EUC. So if the best flatland battle ever was yesterday,
it could be.
Oh shit! I could have done that. Yes. Unfortunately, like we had to pick before, so even though if I wanted, I couldn't have brought it in, but that would have been nice. Yeah. So we're recording this on the day of like ending of EUC. So I rolled the randomizer, and I have to go first, and Scotty, you're second, and Eva, you will be third. So that will also be the order of our voting at the end. So I'm gonna set myself a timer, and then I have 1 minute to bring out my case. What I think is the best flatland battle in unicycling history, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. A battle where everybody knows who is winning is boring. A battle where the riders cannot show what they are capable of is boring. A battle where the stakes are not high is boring. A battle with constant fails is boring. A battle without crazy tricks is boring. So may I present to you the complete opposite of that. Give me a battle that had a 120-second time period with no fails at all. So in that battle, there was an entire regular size battle where both riders didn't fail a single trick. Combined consistency score of the battle, a straight 9. Give me a battle that had two riders at the peak of their prime facing each other on the biggest stage possible. Everyone was expecting this battle to happen, but nobody could have expected how much more we got to witness. Give me a battle with last tricks so crazy that those tricks, to my knowledge, were only landed by those two riders respectively ever. A redemption story that sadly ended in defeat. The last dance of two of the all-time greats. Give me the 2018 Unicorn Korea Grand Final between Waylon and Pierre.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
All right.
Do we go right into?
We ain't gonna say anything about it.
All right.
Okay,
we won't say anything.
Going.
Scotty, I have your time here. So if you want to go, you can go.
Okay, so although you can make a judgment on the best flatland battle based off of just sheer difficulty of the tricks, sheer scoring, that would be fair, but I think there's more to it. I think the true answer is in 2012, Krisz Kovacs and Adrien Delacroix being at the top of their game. They fought the way up to the final battle at Unicon 16. You know, in the moment, the crowd surrounded them. There was metal music blaring from the speakers. You had Krisz Hirowai in an unhinged, rarely seen form announcing the battle. Look, in my opinion, this marked the start of the modern era of extreme unicycling, where you had these guys landing secret sides, anti-sides, whips, massive spins, technical combos, just anything you would want to see in a flatland battle, with astonishing consistency on top of that as well. And despite being in 2012, I fully believe that if this run was today, it would still hold up. So,
okay. Right on the mark. I ain't gonna say anything about it. Eva, you're the third. Are you feeling ready?
Okay.
Then,
yes.
The best flatland battle in unicycling history, according to Eva, is...
Best battle happened in 2012, but between Adrien Delacroix and Josef. It was a close battle, but they ride in completely different ways. Adrien has a brutal style. He's landing tray triple, tray side triple, for example. But it seems like he wants to keep riding until he falls off every time it's his turn. But Josef, he has consistency, and he's riding with steez and lightness that he's known for. And when it comes to the last trick, he's getting really close to a 1080, so he's putting that pressure on Adrien. And Adrien has to bring out a big trick in order to even stay in the competition, in the World Championship, and he takes out the Uni-Whip. And when he lands on the very last attempt, this Uni-Whip, the crowd goes crazy. Adrien throws his unicycle out of happiness. Christian is screaming in the microphone, running up to hug him, and everybody's so excited. He turns the whole battle around and continues in the competition.
All right. All right. Well, you've heard it. We have our 3 cases for the episode, that being the Unicorn 2018 Korea Grand Final between Waylon and Pierre. We got the 2012 Unicorn Grand Final between Krisz and Adrien Delacroix. And we got the 2012 Unicorn, I believe it was semi-final, between Adrien Delacroix and Josef Sjöneby.
Yeah, semi-final. But wait, can I get some facts straight here? Because we're
gonna talk about our cases later. So now's the time.
Okay, yeah.
If you guys have had any more battles on your list that you think are worth mentioning, to get those out of the way first. I have some, but I'll let you first if you want.
Ooh, that we haven't mentioned.
Yes. Now it's the time we're gonna quickly mention all the others, and then we're gonna go the 3 main ones.
Yeah. When you were making your case, I totally thought that you were gonna say Kornel versus Cyril. Ooh. That's that's like a favorite battle duo of mine. They had a really nice one in San Sebastian, and they've done a nice one at EUC too.
You're shitting me. I have both of them on my list. I have the Unicorn 2016 Cyril versus Kornel at Unicorn, and then the 2017 Grand Final. It was at EUC. Yeah. I just rewatched it again. That was crazy. The 2017 Grand Final between Kornel and Cyril. Yeah.
It's funny.
So I love their styles and the way they can back each other up, and they have kind of like a similar mix of rolls and jams and little coasts and great flips. So it's just awesome when they fight.
Yeah, well-rounded riders too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like they.
I was just gonna say, you got it. My bad.
Well, if you have a different battle, then I'll quickly elaborate on the Cyril and Kornel thing, because it's quite apparent that those 2 riders matched up pretty well against each other, to create some exciting battles. But this was you got for 50 backsides in it, 9 side. You got both of them riding, landing 180 flip under flip in the battle. Then you got Cyril throwing in a coast in between, outside coast, 2 revs. And then, I think this, especially the EUC battle, but also the Unicorn battle, is really worth watching. Giving back to you, Scotty.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny that we mentioned 2 battles from Unicorn 16, and then yours was Unicorn 18, is that, or 19?
I was Unicorn 19, but it was the Unicorn 2018.
In 20, okay, that's what I was confused. But anyway, the second place that I thought of was from Unicorn 17 it was in Montreal, right?
Yes.
And because I think that was the only Unicorn that Dan Colvin ever showed up to. And you had a battle with Dan Colvin against Jack Sebin.
Yeah.
I kind of love that those 2, both from Canada, with that have collabed in videos in the past, go against each other. And it was honestly a pretty solid battle. It's just so rare to see Dan Colvin in an actual competition setting, but I think the battle as a whole maybe didn't compare to the other ones that we were talking about, so didn't win in my book. But
I have it at the very bottom of my list. But the one battle I was thinking of from Montreal was the Max Schultz, the side flip where he got so close, just that trick alone. I mean, he didn't land it, but that was a very hype moment, I felt like. And then I was thinking of something like a newer battle, and the only battle I was that came to my mind immediately was the from last Unicorn, the semifinal between Ben and Steffi, because I felt like that was like coming to like a wire, like the decision, or at least when I was watching it from back home, I was like, dang, that's a coin flip right there.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be objective about any of the battles from last Unicon because I like cannot. Like, I feel like I need to rewatch every single one to get a fair point of view because I was not focused,
Okay,
except for
yeah.
like when I was riding. But yeah.
Okay. So any other battles we need to mention, or are we gonna jump into the discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to say at least one or two more from San Sebastian, actually. I think there was good battles there. Like the whole competition in Montreal seemed awesome, but in San Sebastian, I think there was a lot of good battles going down. Maybe the hype from Montreal earlier that riders were being so prepared. And I remember being really amazed by the battle where Kornel gets, I think he gets a flat, so he has to take it off his uni and continue to fight against Eli. Or wait, yeah, I think it's Kornel versus Eli, and he just picks up like Rafael's unicycle and keeps going. And the tricks that he can do on a unicycle that he just picked up, it blows my mind. And I remember being there live and just not understanding what was happening, that he could just take any unicycle and keep riding like I wouldn't be able to
That's
do a
great.
180 unispin.
That's a good story. That's a good story. All
And
right.
also in San Sebastian, we had Eli versus Lorenz. That was a battle that stuck out when I look back to them now. I think that somehow they didn't have a really high consistency all the time, but the level on some of those quite odd tricks that come out in that battle makes me really feel like a respect for both of those riders when I look at it.
Yeah.
The level that they're on, there's a
I
couple of really crazy, unexpected things in there.
Yeah, I think that Eli Brill is like the first person that comes to my mind when I'm thinking of like gold status riders that like never gave like a really shit about like flatline competitions, and were just like always sending for the next big trick, like the next NBD. So yeah, I totally get why this could be also hype in a setting where the riders land some of the tricks.
Yeah,
All right, jumping into discussion. I guess I can start by elaborating more on my take. I already gave you some quick information, but I just wanted like to elaborate a bit more about it. So like 2018, like Pierre has just come from a second place at Unicon in San Sebastian in 2016. So he was like already like that was like already peak of his riding. He continued like banging out like his super like consistent combos, tricks, like paired with those like crazy backflip, overflip variations that he has super consistent, and then like with a lot of like also like niche but very high level difficulty tricks. And then you have like between like Waylon was already like really good in 2016, but like I felt like between 2016 and 2018, like seeing that improvement from a rider that is already that good was like crazy. And like Waylon won flatland, he won street, and he won slopestyle all at the same Unicon. So like he was like on such a high level. He was like his out sedges were like automatic. He had like all the different side flip variations, the reverse side flip, anti side flip, outside flip.
for sure.
You could name them all. He like in the final battle he like did like all of them. He did 540 secret side flip. It's like you name it. He this was
Can I
like
just say? Can I just say on that, like, it's unfortunate when we try to judge what's the best battle like this, because I actually had to sort out a lot of battles from Korea because Waylon is so superior that it's not an exciting battle.
but yeah
He was just too good at that time. But Pierre versus Waylon in the
yeah
end, when they meet in the final,
yeah the
that
point
is
that
a
Yeah.
good battle.
the point that I'm trying to make is that like beforehand like this was the expected final battle. So because those were like what it felt like to me clearly the two best competition riders at least at that competition, because and so everybody was awaiting them, and like that it. The fact that it came out to this final and it wasn't like just like a final, it was like a banger. It was like 1 minute 30 each, and then I think Waylon and they failed both a trick really at the beginning, and then after that it was 2 minutes of like constant tricks of no failure, and like you could see the energy rising, and they didn't go down with the tricks. They just kept going on with their hard tricks, and nobody failed. And like you were like, dang, the energy in the crowd was going up and up and up, and then like in the last 30 seconds, like obviously if you like battle already for like 3 minutes, like your concentration like gets a bit to you, then there were like a few more fails, but like in total there were like 32 out of 37 tricks were landed. And like I know my take is a lot about like how hard the tricks were, but like it's just like the storyline was too good to be true. Like two of like the best riders, and then they're facing a grand finale, and then the battle is so good, and they bring out the peak riding at the final. This is just like something that is still to this day was like unbelievable. I mean, I was there and it was my first unicorn, so I may be a bit biased to it, but yeah.
I was gonna say another thing that is kind of specific to that battle is how unique both those riders are to like be battling against each other at the same time. Because like Pierre, who like in my opinion his style is like, I feel like it's almost built for competition, and the fact that he got second before, and then like I didn't he get third in another Unicon or something like that, or like in any case he's like been at the top and like just kind of getting snubbed each time. But Pierre is crazy consistent next to Waylon, who spiked up like crazy from the last like year or two prior, and then all of a sudden Waylon is the favorite to win street, of course, but then like his focus is with street, so with flatland you're like, all right, well, how's he gonna do? And then he like kills it with the consistency, and the variety of tricks too is wild. I don't know, it's just crazy to me that he's able to compete with sort of a secondary discipline to like what he originally set out to do. So
I think I may be wrong, but I think at that time, talking to him at that Unicon, I think that he said he considers himself more of a flatland than a street rider, actually. So I think a lot of his time also went.
I thought he was a trials rider. I heard him say in some interview, like, I do.
Like, also Waylon.
That really stuck in my head because he's one of my favorites. And then I hear him say, like, in some interview, he was like, I ride trials, and maybe sometimes when I'm bored or when it rains or something, I do some flatland.
Yeah, Waylon is also very, like, he makes jokes all the time, so like we couldn't take a word from him.
No, Waylon. I thought we were talking about Pierre now.
No, Pierre though, yeah. Okay. Pierre is a trials rider for sure.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's well-rounded, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I have like one more funny story to tell, and then I have another point to make. Like there was the battle that I almost took into the list of Pierre and Ivar at the same Unicon in Korea, because Ivar was such a fanboy of Pierre. He had Pierre on his phone as the screensaver.
Yeah.
But
that was a wholesome moment, and it was also a really good battle. It's like the only time that I performed good in unicycle competition. And that feeling of actually going up against Pierre, and it looked close for a while.
There was a close battle. I still remember that. Okay, but just one more point I'm trying to make before you can go and elaborate about your battle. The last tricks. I know they were fourth attempt makes, but like, can you name better last tricks in a battle than like on paper than like an out ninth and a quad backflip?
It's like crazy.
Is it like out ninth for sure? Nobody has ever landed in flat apart from then Waylon, and I don't think a quad backflip has been landed by anybody else on flat either.
Not that I know of.
And then, I mean, they both failed on the 3 attempts, but then they both make it back to back on the 4th attempt. That's like, to me, that's that counts into
Now
the
I
battle.
remember that.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
At least as like a whole community
Yeah.
moment that
Yeah.
stands out for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
you
Not
know?
not for the competition, but like for what I consider, the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
you can
in
choose.
this,
Like,
in this
it's your
discussion,
vote. I cannot vote on my take in the end. But yeah,
yeah, but I was also thinking that like we can include those kind of things for sure, and the audience or the competition as
Yeah.
a whole and the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
And both landing on the fourth attempt, that's
Yeah.
that's points for your battle.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I guess we're going back in time now. Scotty,
Run it back. Yeah.
let's talk about the 2012 Grand Finals between Adrien Delacroix and Krisz.
2012.
But wait,
So
you're
yeah, go for
you're
it.
at EUC, right?
Me, I'm not. Jan is.
Yeah, but I mean in 2012.
No, we are talking the Grand
You're in
Final
Brixen.
Unicorn.
This is
You're,
Unicon.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, at Unicorn in Brixen.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things that I maybe didn't fully get to in my opening thing, but to me is very significant, is I, watched this battle. Well, first of all, I watched this battle kind of like growing up in unicycling, as like this battle seemed insane to me. It seemed unreachable. And I just saw these guys as absolute monsters. Like you have Krisz Kovacs, who's like ripped and just like throwing down tricks. Like the unicycle is an extension of his body. Adrien, who's like got so much power behind every single trick, throwing stuff down, which like growing up, that was super inspirational for me to like get into the sport more. But besides that, I think the main like point that I'm trying to get at is how influential this battle was to start the next kind of era of unicycling. Because prior to 2012, you have, not that people were like worse or anything, but just as the sport progresses, certain tricks become sort of normalized as like a standard to do in a flat competition. And like nowadays, you have secret sides, obviously big spins and side spins. That's like always a thing. Flips, stuff like that. But you also have technical combos. Like you have to do that. You got to do combos. You got to do some sort of coast stuff like that. And like these guys had it in that competition, which to me is pretty wild, because it's like the first time that you see two riders at their peak throwing down tricks in a competition that today would be just as mind-blowing as if you saw it in 2012. And I think it is sort of important to think about the fact that like you sort of have to grade on a curve in thinking about a battle that happened what is now 13 years ago, and comparing it to battles we see today. Like the fact that you can compare that, to me, is pretty astonishing. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I got to say.
Yeah, I definitely get your point. I think with the coasting and stuff, we get more into it when we switch to Ivar's case as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Those guys aren't doing any coasts, no?
No, not really coast in with the Krisz and Adrien battle. There was some really good combos though, like surprising combos, but yeah.
Yeah, like the Krisz Kovac outside roll combos and stuff, still like they still like also style wise, like some of the old stuff style wise, you can argue about it, but like the Krisz Kovac combos, they still hold up, and I see so many riders thinking like I get inspiration from watching Krisz Kovac combo videos and like taking inspiration from that. So I definitely see your point that it's quite influential about like how people think about the sport and how like what role models they use for their tricks and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
They did have a whole lot of pre-hops those days. I will say that. A lot of pre-hops.
Yeah. So there's one thing I have to say, like the one, like I don't know whether you missed on the storyline or you didn't mention it yet, but like the last tricks of that battle. To my knowledge, I don't know what Adrien I think he failed like a 10 side or something. But
Yeah.
like Krisz Kovac at first he tried like a tray side quad or tray side triple or something like that. But then he missed
Yeah.
his attempt, and then he wanted to switch, and then he was
Yeah.
like asking, "Am I allowed to switch?" And I don't know whether you witnessed it, but Adrien was in the back. He was saying, "No switching." So he was playing
That's so funny.
the villain story.
Yeah.
And then Krisz Kovac pulls out the 540 secret side, which for us now would not be a trick you would do in a grand final of Unicorn. But to my knowledge, I mean, like I wasn't riding for 2 years by then, but what people told me was that this trick he just invented it, and it was Krisz Kovac inventing
Yeah.
the trick. It was super new, and he pulls it out on the biggest stage. And this is like one of the most influential tricks ever. Like if you think about like the riders at every competition, there are so many elite riders who have been like trying combinations with it. So yeah,
Okay.
this is
that was
Yeah.
right. That was like another point that I sort of forgot to make there, but like the fact that, yeah, exactly, that trick, like although like he landed it prior, that was a new trick to all of the audience there is crazy. And also I like the point of contention or whatever against Adrien saying like, no, don't switch the trick, don't switch it. I think it's funny though, because if somebody switches their trick now, obviously like people know it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me that they had to figure that out with that battle.
I think it kind of gives a certain sense of giving up, even though it's fine by the rules.
I think switching a trick normally means that you tried a trick and that was too hard, and that you're going to switch it up for an easier trick that you have a higher chance of landing.
Yeah.
And then I would say, like, for the excitement of the crowd, it's something you obviously do to win, but like also I see Flatland as a way to entertain the crowd. So I would say in that case, I as a watcher, I would prefer just going for the trick that you said. But if you're doing a trick that is even more exciting to the crowd instead, and doing a trick that is like brand new, only you have landed it so far, then like, what else do I want for a battle? Like, only having that 2 attempts for an even crazier trick, that's hell yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anything you have to say, Ivar, about the grand final?
Like, there's so much spinning in my head now about where this is in comparison to the battle that I picked.
Well, you at the end, you're not allowed to vote for your battle, so
Yeah.
but
Actually, like the battle I have, I thought that this is a semi-final between Adrien and Josef, and that the winner will fight for the 3rd place. So
no.
I don't know how Adrien ended up.
No,
but then they do.
This was the semi-final, to my knowledge, and then Adrien won your battle, and so he went into the grand final. And Josef battled in a battle for 3rd place against Ludwig.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Okay, now it makes sense. I misunderstood what Christian said there on the mic.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, but that's the knowledge that I have.
Okay.
So yeah, going into your battle, same unicorn, one rider is the same, quite apparent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to start somehow from there. Like I have a few points written down about why this battle is the best one. I've gone back to this battle so many times and been so entertained by watching it. And what you just said now about that a battle should entertain the crowd also. And I think this is a battle that shows a big spectrum of unicycling. You have Adrien doing the power stuff, and then you have Josef style in there too. And it becomes a really good variety of different kinds of riding and also different ways to battle. At this time, they didn't have the chess clock that would separate the riders' times. So Adrien actually ended up using 2/3 of the time. I clocked it now for the first time when I watched it these days, because I've always had this feeling and heard it been said by others too that he used a bit more time. but he also does a lot of pre-hops and bails, and Josef just comes in really fluent, and then it's Adrien's time again for twice as long as Josef has on the stage. So it's so different the way they ride, the way they go into it with attitude and style and what tricks they do and all of this. But somehow it seems that Josef has like the upper hand of the battle the whole way through, because the way you just see Adrien falling a lot, and then Josef does this really clean stuff with the little time that he has. And then the way that Adrien can take it on the last tricks, on the last attempt too, can take it home and flip everything around just because of, like what you were saying now about the secret side, how iconic that trick is. So at this time, from what I understand, Adrien is the only one that can do a unihwip. And he did it earlier the same year in against Kovacs in EUC, actually in the battle. But I guess Christian Huriwai wasn't there, because Christian just explodes when he lands the unihwip. He starts bouncing, bounces up to Adrien, who just grabs him and hugs him like this, shakes him around because they're so excited, and the whole crowd is cheering. Christian like sits down on the ground. It looks like he's praying, like he has to put his his forehead to the ground or something, just because it's such an amazing historical moment. And I think that's really cool to come back to and see. Now we're a bit spoiled with whips in our days, and like you said, Scotty, you have to put stuff in perspective. But for that reason, it's really cool to go back to these things and see how those moments played out and what that trick was worth.
Yeah.
So I think it's an iconic moment for this very iconic trick, and obviously for some other tricks and style aspects too, with also what Josef brings in, which is some stuff that has really influenced me. So yeah, the variety and the dramaturgy, can you say that, of the whole thing, where it turns around unexpectedly, and like how this how interesting this point at time is for
Yeah.
unicycling.
Yeah.
I think that's the main argument.
I don't remember Krisz now Pierre Huriwai being a very religious person, but I like the third attempt makes have like very special feel to it. And like if you're
That's
Yeah,
true.
if you're like greeted with that, it's like you like if I wish like every rider just would land their last tricks on the third attempt, because like
yeah.
like
And I like to see a last trick that counts, because a lot of times the last tricks won't change the outcome of the battle.
Yeah.
And in this case, as I said, Josef seems to have the upper hand. And then he's also really close to 1080 unispin, which it's a huge trick, and it would really complement his run, because in the run he's more doing coasts. Like he does a bunch of coasts that nobody else in that competition can do at the time like that, and just land consistency and really nice. But if he was so close to the 1080 unispin too on every attempt, and Adrien still dared to go for the unihwip, because I think if Adrien had missed the unihwip, like Josef would have had it easy even without the 1080. But for sure on Adrien's mind must have been like, Josef is gonna land the 1080 next time, so that's why he has to land the unihwip.
Yeah. That's you made some great points there though. I did not know about the time being unequal between the riders. Is that something that like they had to figure out that Unicon or something, and then it just got changed? I always just thought it was the case.
That's how I heard it. I actually heard it like told from this battle, that this battle showed them that okay, maybe we should start clocking the time separed.
That's
And I
really
think
interesting.
it just happened from the attitudes that they had. So I've heard the stories about this battle before, and only now when I look back at it even more, I got this idea, like I'm starting to tune into Adrien's perspective a little bit more. And when I look at him there, it looks almost like he just wants to ride until he falls. Sometimes he wants to get back on and ride more when he falls, but a lot of times he will just ride until he falls. So it doesn't matter that he just did a trayside triple. He's just gonna like hop around, ride back in, and try to do another trick, even if he already did a couple of tricks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I think also. Sorry, you got it, Jan.
No. Please go. I can hold my point.
I was gonna say that I like the two riders being so different too, because like you said, Josef's honestly got, I feel like, a once in a decade kind of style, and I still haven't seen a rider that to me like embodies that level of flow, that level of like inertia with his tricks. Like I can tell, like when he's riding forward, he's gonna ride out the exact same direction and the exact same speed. Like it's always beautiful what he does. Versus Adrien is very stop and go, like pre-hops into a 1080 side type of style, which is still sick. They're like can't take away from that, but it is just exact opposites.
Yeah.
And it's cool that like they can still be matched almost neck and neck there up until the final trick.
Yeah, I think that's a great point how you're framing it. Also, like the influence that like the tricks of Josef have had. Like he's probably I'm not like 100% sure, but probably has been doing some kind of a stand-up wheel walk variation in that battle. I'm not sure. You would have to correct me on that, Eva. But I've seen him in like
no stand-up wheel walk here, but
okay. Then maybe that was in the third place battle against Ludwig that I remember.
Yeah, maybe there. I haven't watched that one in this research this time around.
Yeah, but like if you go back just like 2 years before for Brixen, if you go to New Zealand, like you see like the shift in the tricks being done, and like as you said, the coast and like the scuffs, it's like the influence is still there, and like I think framing it like that, you could say that if you now put like together a rider of Josef and Adrien and put them now into a competition today, you would say that's you have a quite modern rider, trick wise, and like so I feel like that's a very good way of framing it.
I mean, to me, it's the most entertaining battle. It's really fun, and even if I compare it to your case now, that you have a bit the same dynamic. Waylon looks a little bit like Josef the way he rides, and Pierre a little bit like Adrien with
That's
power.
True.
Yeah.
But Waylon doesn't do coasts that much like Josef. So I'm more entertained at this time when Josef was doing more scuff coasts to battle Adrien.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else that you have to say about either of our battles that maybe you, now that we were talking about the other battles, have found another point you were making for one of our battles? I just find it interesting that like each of us picked a battle where there's like a lot of like just like the storylines, and I think like every of our battle has like a crazy storyline for the last trick and something to tell. I think that's like.
We all picked unicorn battles, but I'm the only one that didn't take a final, so I'm living dangerous here.
I mean, that's like the stakes are higher, so there's gonna be more energy, anyways. So
yeah.
Also, I feel like what I like people will go like crazy in a final, anyways, and that's what I like. The reasonable decision would be to just do the same. But like I feel like I'm glad that Flatlanders they try to with every battle going up and in the battle, like going from the quarters to the semis, they always try to do one more crazy trick. So you will end up hopefully in the grand final where they're warmed up and they can do their best tricks. So that's maybe an explanation for that.
I was also gonna say before we move on, I do, and if anything, this is a critique against my own point, but I do think there is like a level of nostalgia and kind of bias with that for some older battles, and obviously, like the battle that you chose, Jan, is super high level. Like I think maybe I would say probably the biggest factor separating them would be the consistency, like you talked about, and how much that has been like kind of amplified or made important in battles as time has gone on. Because like I could bring up so many like modern Unicon battles. Like if you look at Steffi's riding all year round, he's got insane tricks at good consistency. Like we're definitely in a really unique spot with unicycling where we've got like a ton of riders who can just put out high consistency and high difficulty battles like crazy. But I don't know. It's cool to see that like there has been a ton of improvement over time.
Yeah.
Like just overall,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're making that point, because maybe also like when I was watching through the battles, like, and there were like in the first 20 seconds riders failing most of the tricks. Like to me, like I'm glad that you maybe also gave me a new perspective on how to watch the battles, because I was like, maybe I was also a bit stuck in my mind. But like I totally get what you're saying, that like the consistency probably has improved, but also the nostalgia plays a huge part. And like to me, this was the first Unicorn. I mean, I was riding for 2 years by then, but like this was the first Unicorn Grand Final for me. So that probably also was nostalgia to me, playing into that. All right, Eva, anything else you have to say?
No, let's get on with it. Let's do the vote.
Yep. So, just for your information, each of us has now a vote, but obviously they can only vote for the battles that are being presented, and they also cannot vote for their own battle. So I cannot vote for my own battle. I can only vote for Scotty's and Ivar's. If it happens that each of us votes each other so that there's a tie, then we need to discuss again and find a political decision. Somebody has to change their vote. And yeah, I will start as I did with reading out my introductory statement. Then afterwards we'll go Scotty, and then we'll Ivar, and then the rider, like the battle who gets the most votes. That's we're the objective people here. That's like the official best battle in flatline history. So yeah, tough decision to make for me. You can like quickly think about it, and if you got your battle that you think out of the two will take your vote, then I'll start.
I've decided.
Okay.
I've yet to decide. I don't know. Shoot. How objective are we talking here?
No, this is like you have to give an explanation on how you interpret the question.
Okay.
This is your opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
We like, as we tried now to persuade or to give perspective of why we think the case that we made is the best. Then you also should in your vote make a short case for why you think you have been voted that way.
No, okay, I think I got it.
You shouldn't only focus on one criteria. Okay? All right. So I got the maybe easy or maybe hard part of like voting between two battles of the same unicycle like flatline competition. I'm like thinking about it. Like I really like the case that Eva brought up with like the last trick and the third try. And I think you like, for me it showed how like intricate you watch this battle through and through again to like get all the storylines out of it. But I cannot help but voting for the 2012 grand finale. I feel like the storyline with the 540 secret side and with the Adrien Krisz rivalry, they had a lot of battles going on during that time. They were like clearly the two best riders at that time, in my opinion, or just like looking at the battles going forth. different EUCs they've battled in the grand finale. So yeah, my vote goes to the Unicorn 2012 Brixen grand finale between Adrien Delacroix and Krisz.
Cool. Am I up next?
Yes,
There goes my
wait,
chance of
no.
winning, right? I need 2 votes.
Yes, no, it's not the
I
same
win on
order.
the.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Scotty,
Okay.
you vote next. Because if Eva votes next and he also votes your case, then you don't get a vote.
Oh, okay.
So it's always
Gotcha.
the person that gets the vote who has the vote, so that we at least have a 1-1, and then.
Okay. All right. This was tough for me because it's just super. I feel like both battles, like there was a comparison made that like there is a similar style between Josef and Waylon, despite not really having the same technical abilities, whatever. And then Pierre and Adrien. So to me, it's like very similar. One's a little nostalgic and also kind of like paved a way for different types of battles. The other's like 2 riders at the top of their game, crazy consistency. I have to go with 2012 Josef versus Adrien, because I think as a sort of iconic moment, I remember watching the like 2012 recap video, seeing that whip and just being like floored. And the fact that it was on the 3rd try, it adds like so much significance, just like the hype of the moment, being able to see a trick that nobody else can do in competition is crazy. And yeah, I don't know. The battle as a whole being 2 completely different styles is always awesome to see as well. So yeah, that's what I got to go for.
All right.
Yeah.
So the 1 vote for you, Scotty, 1 vote for you, Ivan.
Okay, well, I'm glad you came around and made the right decision, Scotty. But now we're in a tough situation because I'm not gonna be able to choose your battle over mine from that same year. If I have to choose between your 2 battles, I'm gonna go with the one that I was there for live, and all the stuff we've said, like how it actually keeps evolving. So the level at this time, 2018, it's really high. It was a good battle.
So your vote is
And also about the 4th attempts. I love that. And I didn't remember that until you said it now in your further arguments. I was so hyped that night to see the 4th attempts be landed, both of them.
Yeah, okay. So it seems like we have a tie.
We do. So it's me or you, Jan, that have to fold,
anybody.
right?
No, anybody. It's like I voted for you, you voted for
Well,
Eva,
it's
and Eva
obviously
voted for me.
Jan. You have to change to my battle. So.
Yeah, exactly. like somebody has to change. Just one rider has to change the vote, and now we can say like how close we were, like, or whether you think your decision is pretty set, and like that the rider who is like not convinced the most or can be convinced by another rider can switch up their vote.
Yeah.
I have to say, at the beginning, when you made the case, when you were going in second, Scotty, and you made the case for like that battle, and I had the battle like right now we can talk about it. I had it on second place on the list. I handed in this as my second take, so I was pretty sure like, all right, pretty hard for Eva to get me to vote for his case. But like the way you talked about it and how intricate it was, I'm like tempted to switch, but I'm eager to hear your opinion first. Whether somebody you want to switch as well, or whether you're pretty set in stone.
Yeah. So for me, I think the biggest factor, because I was pretty on the fence, the biggest deciding factor for me was the fact that 2012, I can remember, and obviously I wasn't there for either of these battles, so I'm watching online, but I remember more of the 2012 battle than I do the 2018 battle. So, or wait, sorry, 2018 is right, yeah?
Yes, 2018.
Okay, 2018. So that's kind of what made up the decision in my mind. I am still sort of on the fence because, like, I think overall, like, the skill in the 2018 battle is just, it is going to be superior. There's just so much. I think people, the level that year is crazy. And, yeah, I don't know.
I think
That's what
either you want to say something quick, or you're like,
Well,
you think your battle is
yeah,
the better one out of the 2012 battles.
yeah, I think so. But honestly, I haven't rewatched the final between Adrien and Kovacs
Yeah.
from this one. I saw their EUC battle from earlier the same year. So I haven't rewatched it, and I don't have all of the details. I don't know if there's any special details you want to tell me, Scotty, or Jan, if you remember, like any more tricks.
I remember, but you know what? I think I'm switching, because on the one hand, like you brought two battles of the same unicorn, so I'm like kind of feeling like if we now pick my battle, it's like two of us were like thinking in roughly the same direction. So I feel like
Yeah.
it should be one of you. And then I really like the idea of not taking a grand final, and I think Eva made a really great case for a battle that I watched. I definitely watched the battle, maybe also 2 times for this video, for this podcast episode, and I like did not see what Eva was seeing. So I'm switching my vote. And with that, we resolve the tie.
Well, I
Let's
can
go
say
for
also,
it.
like, maybe on a different day I would change after watching them a bit more, or considering other factors that, as we all know, it's quite subjective. And I just find this battle super interesting with all of these factors, like the way he took up the time, and they had to change the rules. And also, I think that the Uniwhip, like, I hear what you're saying about the secret side, but I think to this day, Uniwhips stay a heavier trick
It's
than
more iconic,
secret side.
I would say.
Yeah,
For
even though
sure.
they're about the same age then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I just love the case that you made, and like
Yeah.
how you put together your arguments.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a good winner.
Yeah. So that concludes the this episode of Wheel Talk.
it's gonna be interesting to hear later how my statement sounded, because I completely left all of the plans that I had
Yeah.
made because I was so stressed. So I like missed half of the things because I formulated
Let's
everything.
hope my computer finished the recording, because we were recording for
Hopefully.
way longer than I expected. The other episodes were like maybe half of the time, but like let's hope everything stays we can get everything through it. So yeah, first of all, we have a few more things to talk about during the end segment. Yeah, so now we decided on a winner for us, but you can take part in the public vote. We will give you the same 3 cases. You can listen to our arguments and then pick the winner for you, and then we'll have a public vote that we will discuss or we'll show in the next episode. Secondly, please comment in the comment section down below if you want any questions, if you have any good questions that you want to have answered. And thirdly, we are very much looking for other hosts, especially those who are maybe were riding a long time ago, because we like as you're seeing, like we're like from the same generation. So if you're an older rider, just reach out through
Or
the
a newer
comments,
rider.
or maybe even a newer rider, to get like a different perspective on it. That would be greatly appreciated, and maybe you find yourself here sitting on the show. That being said, thank you for watching this episode. Thanks for you two. We've had an amazing time here. I love to like talking to you, like just like going through the battles again, unicycle history, something very nice. Thanks again to Yasmin for helping us out with the episode. And again, the best flatland battle in unicycle history is the semifinal of Unicorn Brixen 2012 between Adrien Delacroix and Josef.